Let me ask you something powerful. Who told you that life peaks at 30? Who convinced you that youth equals value and age equals decline? Who planted the belief that after 50 you're supposed to slow down, fade out, and quietly step aside? Because I'm here to challenge that belief at its core. Life does not automatically get smaller after 50. It gets clearer, it gets sharper, it gets more intentional. And when you live intentionally, life doesn't shrink, it expands. The first half of your life is often about survival and significance. You're building, proving, competing, comparing. You're asking, who am I? Where do I fit? How do I win? There's pressure, there's urgency, there's noise. But somewhere around 50, something shifts. You start asking a better question. What truly matters? And better questions create better lives. One of the longest running studies on human happiness conducted by Harvard University found that emotional well-being tends to increase as people age. In fact, many people in their 50s and 60s report higher life satisfaction and greater emotional stability than those decades younger. Why would that be? Because perspective is power. At 25, rejection feels catastrophic. At 35, failure feels like identity. At 50, you understand patterns, you understand cycles. You understand that no moment defines you unless you let it. You've lived long enough to see storms pass. You've experienced heartbreak and discovered you can heal. You've made mistakes and realized they didn't destroy you, they refined you, and that refinement is priceless. By 50, you begin to understand the law of focus. Whatever you focus on expands. When you're younger, your focus is scattered: career, status, approval, money, relationships, image. After 50, your focus narrows. And when focus narrows, power increases. You stop saying yes to everything. You stop tolerating energy drains. You stop chasing applause. You start protecting peace. And peace is not weakness, it's power under control. Now let's talk about success and opportunity, because there's a myth that innovation belongs to the young. Research from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology revealed that the average age of successful startup founders is in their 40s and 50s. A 50-year-old entrepreneur is statistically more likely to build a sustainable company than someone in their 20s. Why? Because experience reduces reckless risk. Because networks are deeper and more meaningful. Because pattern recognition is stronger. Because emotional regulation improves decision-making. Youth has energy. Age has strategy. Look at the examples. Nelson Mandela became president of South Africa at 75, leading with forgiveness instead of vengeance after 27 years in prison. Colonel Sanders turned rejection into a global franchise in his 60s. Darryl Wang didn't even enter the fashion industry until 40 and built a global empire afterward. What does that tell you? There is no expiration date on contribution. Your timeline is not the world's timeline. Your growth does not have a deadline. After 50, something extraordinary happens internally. Emotional mastery increases. When you're young, emotions often control you. When you've lived, you begin to control your emotional state. And the quality of your life is the quality of your emotional state. You learn that anger costs energy. You learn that resentment steals joy. You learn that gratitude shifts physiology. Neuroscience shows that practices like gratitude and mindfulness physically reshape neural pathways. You are not stuck with your emotional patterns. You can rewire them, and maturity gives you the discipline to do so consistently. Let's talk about relationships, because this is where life truly gets richer. In your 20s, relationships are often about excitement and chemistry. In your 30s, they're often about building and surviving. After 50, they're about depth, alignment, and peace. You value honesty more than charm, consistency more than charisma, character more than image. The research is clear. Strong relationships are the single greatest predictor of long-term happiness and health. The findings echoed by organizations like the World Health Organization consistently emphasize that social connection improves longevity, mental health, and overall well-being. By 50, you know how to love better. You communicate clearer. You forgive faster. You set stronger boundaries. You stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be authentic. And authenticity creates connection. Now let's address the physical reality. Yes, the body changes, recovery may slow, hormones shift, energy fluctuates. But here's what's empowering. Lifestyle still matters profoundly. Strength training after 50 can rebuild muscle mass. Cardiovascular training improves heart health and cognitive performance. Balanced nutrition reduces inflammation. Sleep enhances hormonal balance. And memory consolidation, you are not fragile, you are adaptable. The human body responds to stimulus at almost any age. What changes is not your ability to grow, it's your willingness to stay disciplined. And discipline at this stage becomes less about proving something and more about preserving something. Preserving vitality, preserving clarity, preserving freedom. Speaking of freedom, this is one of the greatest gifts of life after 50. Many people reach a stage where children are more independent. Careers are established. Financial stability is stronger than ever before. The urgency to figure it all out decreases. And suddenly you realize something incredible. You get to choose. You can travel, you can pivot careers, you can start a business, you can mentor, you can write, you can create. You are no longer building your identity, you are expressing it. And here's where life gets truly powerful. Contribution. The highest human need is not certainty or variety or significance. It's contribution. After 50, the desire to contribute often grows stronger than the desire to compete. You want to matter. You want to leave something behind. You want to make someone else's path easier than yours was. Legacy becomes more important than applause. And legacy is built on wisdom. Wisdom only comes from experience. Experience only comes from living fully through victories and losses. The first half of life is often about building a resume. The second half is about building a legacy. You begin to measure success differently. It's not about the size of your house. It's about the quality of your conversations inside it. It's not about the title on your business card. It's about the respect in your relationships. It's not about how many people know your name. It's about how many lives you've impacted. And that shift brings peace. Confidence changes too. At 20, confidence is loud. At 30, it's competitive. At 50, it's grounded. You've survived what you once feared. Financial setbacks, career disappointments, health scares, relationship struggles, loss. And yet you're still standing, and certainty fuels action. Now here's a perspective shift that can transform everything. If you're 50, statistically you may have 30 or even 40 years ahead of you. That's not a closing chapter, that's an entire second act. Imagine approaching it not with fear, but with strategy. What skills do you want to master? What relationships do you want to deepen? What impact do you want to create? What experiences have you postponed? The next 20 years could become the most intentional of your life, but only if you reject the narrative of decline. Aging is inevitable. Deterioration is optional. Growth is a decision. If you stop growing emotionally, mentally, physically, you begin shrinking. But if you commit to growth, age becomes an asset. Youth gives you speed. Age gives you direction. Youth gives you intensity. Youth gives you ambition. Age gives you ambition. And alignment is powerful because when your values, actions, and purpose align, stress decreases and fulfillment increases. Life after 50 is not about chasing. It's about choosing peace, choosing purpose, choosing impact. And when you combine experience, emotional intelligence, financial stability, deeper relationships, and intentional living, something extraordinary happens. You become unstoppable in a different way, not because you're the fastest, not because you're the loudest, but because you are the clearest. Clarity is power. So if you are approaching 50, don't fear it. Prepare for it. If you are over 50, don't downplay it. Leverage it. If you are younger, learn from those who have walked ahead of you, because the most powerful force in the world is not youth. It is a seasoned human being who knows who they are, knows what they stand for, and refuses to live small. Life doesn't automatically get better after 50. It gets better when you decide that the second half of your life will be lived with greater courage, greater discipline, greater gratitude, and greater contribution than the first. Your best years are not behind you. They are waiting for your decision. And the moment you decide that this season will be your strongest, your wisest, and your most impactful, that tease the moment life truly begins to get better. The only question left is simple. Will you step into it?